Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtavrayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 3, the birth of Lord Krishna, text 7-8 onwards. Mumurchur Munyo Deva Sumanansi Mudanvita Mandam Madam Jaladha Jagar Jur Anusagaram Nishitetam Udbhute Jayamane Chanardane Devakyam Devarupinyam Vishnu Sarva Guhashaya Avirasi Yatha Prachyam Dishindur Iv Pushkalaha. The demigods and great saintly persons showered flowers in a joyous mood, and clouds gathered in the sky and very mildly thundered, making sounds like those of the ocean's waves. Then the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, who is situated in the core of everyone's heart, appeared from the heart of Devaki in the dense darkness of night, like the full moon rising on the eastern horizon, because Devaki was of the same category as Shri Krishna. So earlier we studied the sky was completely clean, and now the clouds appeared and mildly thundered. So whatever Krishna wants happens. Purport. As stated in Brahma Samhita, Anand Chinmaya Ras Pratibhavitatis. This verse indicates that Krishna and his entourage are of the same spiritual potency, Ananda Chinmaya Ras. Krishna's father, his mother, his friends, the cowherd boys and cows are all expansions of Krishna, as will be explained in the Brahma Vimohan Leela. When Brahma took away Krishna's associates to test the supremacy of Lord Krishna, the Lord expanded himself again in the forms of the many cowherd boys and calves, all of whom, as Brahma saw, were Vishnu Murtis. Devaki is also an expansion of Krishna, and therefore this verse says, Devakyam Deva Rupinyam Vishnu Sarva Guha Shaya. So Devaki is also an expansion of Krishna, means it's an energy of Krishna. So if Krishna appears from the womb of Mother Devaki, that doesn't mean that Mother Devaki is creator of Krishna. Mother Devaki, Vasudeva, Nanda Baba, Yashoda, Maya, they're all energies of Krishna. Krishna is the original. These devotees get a chance to play the part of mother, father of Krishna because of their mood, this kind of mood towards Krishna, this kind of mellow, this kind of ras. It's difficult for people who are not devotees to understand that a person whose energy of Krishna gets to play the part of his mother and father. At the time for the Lord's appearance, the great sages and the demigods, being pleased, began to shower flowers. At the seashore, there was a sound of mild waves, and above the sea, there were clouds in the sky which began to thunder, very pleasing. When things were adjusted like this, Lord Vishnu, who is residing within the heart of every living entity, appeared in the darkness of night as the Supreme Personality of Godhead before Devaki, who appeared as one of the demigoddesses. The appearance of Lord Vishnu at that time could be compared to the rising of the full moon in the sky on the eastern horizon. The objection may be raised that since Lord Krishna appeared on the 8th day of the waning moon, there could be no rising of the full moon. He appeared on Ashtami Tithi. In answer to this, it may be said that Lord Krishna appeared in the dynasty, which is in the hierarchy of the moon. He came in the Chandravansh. Therefore, although the moon was incomplete on that night, because of Lord's appearance in the dynasty, wherein the moon is himself the original person, the moon, was in an overjoyous condition. So by the grace of Krishna, he could appear as a full moon to welcome the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The waning moon became a full moon in jubilation. See, anything can happen and everything can happen if Krishna is going to appear. So instead of Devi Rupinyam, some text of Srimad Bhagavatam clearly says Vishnu Rupinyam. In either case, the meaning is that Devaki has the same spiritual form as the Lord. Means both are spiritual Satchidananda Vigraha. The Lord is Satchidananda Vigraha and Devaki is also Satchidananda Vigraha. Therefore, no one can find any fault in the way the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Satchidananda Vigraha, appeared from the womb of Devaki. So considering this, Devaki has a spiritual body. Kansa couldn't have killed her anyway. There was no way he could have killed her. But this is to bring the pastimes of Krishna, bring it more, bring more sweetness into it, more emotions, more sentiments. This was announced that Kansa, her eighth child, will kill you, and Kansa tried to kill Devaki. Those who are not in full knowledge that the appearance and disappearance of the Lord are transcendental, charma karma chame divyam, are sometimes surprised that the Supreme Personality of Godhead can take birth like an ordinary child. Actually, however, the Lord's birth is never ordinary. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is already situated within the core of everyone's heart as Antaryami, the super soul. Thus, because he was present in full potency in Devaki's heart, he was also able to appear outside her body. So he does not take birth like we do, and we'll study further on also. At the time of birth, what did he do, and what did he look like? One of the 12 great personalities is Bhishma Deva, Swayambhur Narada Shambhu, Kumara Kapilo Manu, Prahlada Janako Bhishma. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhishma, great authority to be followed by devotees, says that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated in the core of everyone's heart, just as the sun may be on everyone's head. Yet, although the sun may be on the heads of millions and millions of people, this does not mean that the sun is variously situated. Similarly, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead has inconceivable potencies, he can be within everyone's heart and yet not be situated variously. So he can do whatever. Ekatvam anupashyata. The Lord is one, but he can appear in everyone's heart by his inconceivable potency. Thus, although the Lord was within the heart of Devaki, he appeared as a child. According to Vishnu Puran, therefore, as quoted in the Vaishnava Toshani, the Lord appeared like the sun. Anugrahasya. The Brahma Samhita confirms that the Lord is situated even within the atom. He is situated in Mathura, in Vaikuntha, and in the core of the heart. Therefore, one should clearly understand that he did not live like an ordinary child in the heart or the womb of Devaki, nor did he appear like an ordinary human child, although he seemed to do so in order to bewilder asuras like Kansa. The asuras wrongly think that Krishna took birth like an ordinary child and passed away from this world like an ordinary man. Such asuric conceptions are rejected by persons in knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ajo ape sanyavyayatma, Bhagavad Gita says. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord is Aja, unborn, and he is the supreme controller of everything. Nonetheless, he appeared as a child of Devaki. This verse describes the inconceivable potency of the Lord who appeared like the full moon. Understanding the special significance of the appearance of the Supreme Godhead, one should never regard him as having taken birth like an ordinary child. So he's not an ordinary child, he's not an ordinary human being, he does not take birth like an ordinary child. And this verse clearly says, Devaki also had spiritual body, Krishna also had spiritual body. So nowhere any confusion should be there. It's just confusion is there Even for the speakers, they don't read Bhagavatam properly. And when the audience speaker is like that, the audience is not going to learn anything. Tam adbhutam balakam ambujekshanam chaturbhujam shank gadad yudayudam Srivatsa Lakshmam Galashobhikostubham Pitambaram Sandra Payoda Sobhagam Maharaha Vadurya Kirita Kundal Tvisha Parishvakta Sahasra Kundalam Uddama Kanchaya Kankaladibhir Virochamanam Vasudeva Akshat. So Krishna, as shown in the picture behind me, if you can see, he appeared with everything. Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, everything. Vasudeva then saw the newborn child who had a very wonderful lotus-like eyes and who bore in his 4 hands the 4 weapons, Shankha, Chakra, Gada and Padma. On his chest was a mark of Srivatsa, and on his neck, the brilliant Kaustubh gem. Dressed in yellow, his body blackish like a dense cloud, his scattered hair fully grown, and his helmet and earrings sparkling uncommonly with the valuable gem, Vadurya. The child, decorated with a brilliant belt, armlets, bangles, and other ornaments, appeared very wonderful. So how many newborn childs we have seen this way? Appearing 4 hands with 4 weapons and dressed beautifully, blackish, his body is blackish and fully scattered hair, fully grown. How many kids we have seen like that? None. Nobody is born like that. But Krishna wanted to show to Devaki and Vasudeva that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. To support the word Adbhuta, meaning wonderful, the decorations and opulences of the newborn child are fully described. As confirmed in Brahma Samhita, Barhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarandam. The hue of the Lord's beautiful form resembles the blackish color of dense clouds. Asit means blackish, and Ambud means cloud. It's clear from the word Chaturbhujam that Krishna first appeared with 4 hands as Lord Vishnu. No ordinary child in human society has ever been born with 4 hands. And when is a child born with fully grown hair? The descent of the Lord, therefore, is completely distinct from the birth of an ordinary child. The Vadurya gem, which sometimes appears bluish, sometimes yellow, and sometimes red, is available in Vaikuntha Loka. The Lord's helmet and earrings were decorated with this particular gem. So this is how the Lord appeared in front of Vasudeva and Devaki. Sa vismyo tutful vilochano harim sutam vilokyana kanda dundu bhistada Krishna avatarot sav sambrabho asprashan mudad vijebhyo ayutam apluto gavam. When Vasudeva saw his extraordinary son, his eyes were struck with wonder. In transcendental jubilation, he mentally collected 10,000 cows and distributed them among the Brahmins as a transcendental festival. So mentally he offered, he gave charity at the time of Krishna's birth. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has analyzed the wonder of Vasudeva upon seeing his extraordinary child. Vasudeva was shivering with wonder to see a newborn child decorated so nicely with valuable garments and gems. And just see, before that, 6 sons they had lost. And they were not born like this. And Balramji was transferred to the womb of Rohini. And now Krishna appears as Vishnu with 4 hands. Of course, he would be in wonder. What is this happening? He could immediately understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead had appeared, not as an ordinary child, but in his original, fully decorated, 4-handed form. The first wonder was that the Lord was not afraid to appear within the prison house of Kansa. where Vasudeva and Devaki were interned. Second, although the Lord, the supreme transcendence, is all-pervading, he had appeared from the womb of Devaki. The third point of wonder, therefore, was that a child could take birth from the womb so nicely decorated. For the Supreme Personality of Godhead was Vasudeva's worshipable deity, yet had taken birth as his son. So looks like Vasudevji used to worship Lord Vishnu Chaturbhuj form. For all these reasons, Vasudeva was transcendently jubilant and he wanted to perform a festival, as Kshatriyas do, to celebrate the birth of a child. But because of his imprisonment, he was unable to do externally, and therefore he performed the festival within his mind. This was just as good. If one can externally serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can serve the Lord within one's mind, since the activities of the mind are as good as those of the other senses. This is called the non-dual or absolute situation, Advaigyan. People generally perform ritualistic ceremonies for the birth of a child. Why then should Vasudeva not have performed such a ceremony when the Supreme Lord appeared as his son? So he performed it in his mind, and it was as good as performing externally. And wonderful points Prabhupada has given why Vasudevji was wondered. I mean, he was in complete awe and reverence. What is this happening? Athai namastodvadhare purusham param natanga kritadhi kritanjali swarochisha bharat sutika griham virochayantam gatabhi prabhavavit. O Maharaj Parikshit, descendant of King Bharat, Vasudeva could understand that this child was the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan. Having concluded this without a doubt, he became fearless. Bowing down with folded hands and concentrating his attention, he began to offer prayers to the child who illuminated his birthplace by his natural influence. So struck with such great wonder, Vasudeva now concentrated his attention on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Understanding the influence of the Supreme Lord, he was surely fearless, since he understood that the Lord had appeared to give him protection. Gatabhi prabhavavit. Understanding that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is present, he appropriately offered prayers as follows. So Krishna appeared as Chaturbhuj Vishnu form in front of Devaki and Vasudeva. And Vasudevji is struck with wonder, Mother Devaki is also, and he is starting to offer prayers. Krishna showed forms to Mother Yashoda. In his mouth, he showed whole Brahman, and he also swallowed forest fire. He danced on the hoods of Kalia. He lifted Govardhan Hill. So many things, wonderful things he did in Gokul and in Vrindavan. Yashoda Maya never offered him prayers. Nanda Baba did not offer him prayers. So there is a difference between the parental love of Vasudeva Devaki and the parental love of Nanda Baba and Yashoda Maya. So their love, Vasudeva Devaki, because see, there are three realms now when Krishna performed his pastimes. There is Vrindavan, there is Mathura, and then there is Dwarka. So Dwarka, there is more opulence. There is love, Madhurya Bhav is there, but opulence is more. Mathura is in between, opulence and Madhurya. But Vrindavan is complete Madhurya, no opulence. Nobody treats Krishna as God over there. None of his friends, Gopas, Gopis, nobody offered him prayers like Vasudevji is doing. The mood is different. Relationship is with Krishna as father and mother, but the mood is little different than Nanda Baba and Yashoda Maya. And it's not, we're not saying that they are any less than Yashoda Maya and Nanda Baba, not any less, but the mood is different. That's all. So every living entity has its own special relationship with Krishna with special mood. We with the performance of sadhana bhakti and slowly coming to prema bhav bhakti and then prem bhakti, whatever our mood is, whatever our relationship with Krishna is, that will be revealed, that will come forth. It will happen. Slowly it will happen. So, beautiful prayers by Vasudeva ji. Shri Vasudeva Vacha, Vidito Asi Bhavan Saksha, Purusha Prakrite Para, Kevala Anubhavananda, Swarupa, Sarva Buddhi Trik. Vasudeva said, my Lord, you're the Supreme Person beyond material existence, and you're the Super Soul. Your form can be perceived by transcendental knowledge, by which you can be understood as the Supreme Personality of God. I now understand your position perfectly. Within Vasudeva's heart, affection for his son and knowledge of the Supreme Lord's transcendental nature both awakened. In the beginning, Vasudeva thought such a beautiful child has been born, but now Kamsa will come and kill him. But when he understood that this was not an ordinary child, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he became fearless. Regarding his son as the Supreme Lord, wonderful in everything, he began offering prayers appropriate for the Supreme Lord. Completely free from fear of Kamsa's atrocities, he accepted the child simultaneously as an object of affection, as an object of worship by prayers. So here he is saying, so you are the Supreme Personality of God. And he became fearless that Krishna will kill Kamsa. But there, Nanda Baba, Yashodamati Maya, whenever something happens, some demon comes and they run and they try to protect Krishna. They don't treat him as Supreme Personality of God. They think this is our little Lala and he can get hurt, and they pray, and we'll see how after he kills Putna, how all the gopis get together and then they perform Achman and they give him, they put cow dung and bathe him with cow urine and chant different mantras to protect Krishna. And here Vasudeva is saying, you can kill him. You can kill Kamsa. You're the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sayev Swaprakritiedam Srishtwagre Trigunatmakam Tadnutvam Hiya Pravishta Ev Bhavyase. My Lord, you're the same person who in the beginning created this material world by his personal external energy. After the creation of this world of three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, you appear to have entered it, although in fact you have not. In Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Personality of Godhead clearly explains, Bhume Rapo Analo Vayu. The material world is of three modes of nature, Sattva Gun, Rajagun, and Tamagun. Is a composition of earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, all of which are energies coming from Krishna. Yet Krishna, being always transcendental, is aloof from this material world. Those who are not in pure knowledge think that Krishna is a product of matter and that his body is material like ours. In fact, however, Krishna is always aloof from this material world because this material world was not there when he was there. It manifests and unmanifests, but he doesn't. So he is always there. So means he is away, he is aloof from this. In the Vedic literature, we find the creation described in relationship to Mahavishnu. As stated in Brahma Samhita, Eko api raso rachaitum. I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, the original personality of Godhead. By his partial plenary expansion as Mahavishnu, he enters into material nature. Then he enters every universe as Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and he enters all the elements, including every atom of matter, as Kshirodaksha Vishnu. Such manifestations of cosmic creation are innumerable, both in the universe and in the individual atoms. Govinda is partially exhibited as Antaryami, the super soul who enters the material world and who is also within the atom. Brahm Samhita further says, Yasyeka Nishvasita Kalamathavalambhya. This verse describes Mahavishnu as a plenary expansion of Krishna. Mahavishnu lies on the causal ocean, and when he exhales, millions of Brahmans or universes come from the pores of his body. And then when Mahavishnu inhales, all these Brahmans disappear. Thus, the millions of Brahmans controlled by the Brahmas and other demigods come and go in this material world through the breathing of Mahavishnu. So this is how the creation takes place, and we have studied that. Foolish persons think that when Krishna appears as a son of Vasudeva, he is limited like an ordinary child. But Vasudeva was aware that although the Lord had appeared as his son, the Lord had not entered Devaki's womb and then come out. Rather, the Lord was always there. The Supreme Lord is all-pervading, present within and without. He only seemed to have entered the womb of Devaki and to have now appeared as Vasudeva's child. The expression of this knowledge by Vasudeva indicates that Vasudeva knew how these events had taken place. Vasudeva was certainly a devotee of the Lord in full knowledge, and we must learn from devotees like him. Bhagavad Gita therefore recommends Tadvidhi Pranipatena. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. Vasudeva begot the Supreme Personality of Godhead, yet he was in full knowledge of how the Supreme Lord appears and disappears. He was therefore a Tattvadarshi, a seer of the truth. Because he personally saw how the Supreme Absolute Truth appeared as his son, Vasudeva was not in ignorance, thinking that because the Supreme Godhead had appeared as his son, the Lord had become limited. The Lord is unlimitedly existing and all-pervading inside and outside. Thus, there is no question of his appearance or disappearance. So he just manifests and unmanifests. But to know this truth, this is difficult. To come to this understanding and without committing a mistake that Krishna is an ordinary child, that's what a spiritualist is. In fact, whenever Krishna appears, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as Ram and Narasimhadev, not as Narasimhadev because he didn't accept any mother and father, his parents, here Vasudeva and Devaki, they will regard him as Supreme Personality of God. But as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Mata, his parents, they didn't treat him as Supreme God. One Brahmin once told Jagannath Mishra that you should not chastise your son, Nimai. Nimai was very, very naughty. If we think Krishna was naughty, Nimai was millions times more naughty than Krishna. And he was son of a Brahmin. And another Brahmin came to Jagannath Mishra and he said, you should not chastise your son. He is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Jagannath Mishra, what he said? He might be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But since he is my son and he makes mistakes, I have to correct him. That was his mood. And that's why Nimai loves that mood. Anyway, I think these stories are there for when we get to Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yathemeva avikrita bhavas tathate vikritah saha nana virya prithakbhuta virajam janyantihi sannipatya samutpadya drishyante anugataiva rage vidyamanatvan na tesham ihi sambhava. Evam bhavan buddhya anu me lakshana grahya guna sannapi tat gunagraha anavritatvad vihari intaram nate sarvasya sarvatman atma vastuna. The Mahat Tattva, the total material energy, is undivided, but because of the material modes of nature, it appears to separate into earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Because of the living energy, Jiva Bhuta, these separated energies combine to make the cosmic manifestation visible. But in fact, before the creation of the cosmos, the total energy is already present. Therefore, the total material energy never actually enters the creation. Similarly, although you are perceived by our senses because of your presence, you cannot be perceived by the senses, nor experienced by the mind or words. Avana manasa gochara. With our senses, we can perceive some things, but not everything. For example, we can use our eyes to see, but not to taste. Consequently, you are beyond perception by the senses. Although in touch with the modes of material nature, you are unaffected by them. You are the prime factor in everything, the all-pervading, undivided supersoul. For you, therefore, there is no external or internal. You never entered the womb of Devaki. Rather, you existed there already. So, lots of philosophical points. These are necessary before we come to Krishna's pastimes to understand the position of Krishna. This same understanding is explained by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita. Maya tatam idam sarvam. By me and in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I'm not in them. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is not perceivable through the gross material senses. It is said that Lord Shri Krishna's name, fame, pastimes, etc. cannot be understood by material senses. Only to one who is engaged in pure devotional service under proper guidance is he revealed. So that's a way to understand, that's a way to realize Krishna's pastimes, etc. Only by those engaged in pure devotional service. One can always see the Supreme Personality of Godhead Govinda within oneself and outside oneself if one has developed the transcendental loving attitude towards him. Thus, for people in general, he is not visible. In the above mentioned words from the Bhagavad Gita, therefore, it is said that although he is all-pervading, everywhere present, he is not conceivable by the material senses. But actually, although we cannot see him, everything is resting in him. So this part, nothing is beyond him, nothing is outside him. Everything is resting on him, and nothing is beyond his control either. But we cannot see him. As discussed in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the entire material cosmic manifestation is only a combination of his two different energies, the superior spiritual energy and the inferior material energy. Just as the sunshine is spread all over the universe, the energy of the Lord is spread all over the creation, and everything is resting in that energy. Yet one should not conclude that because he spread all over, he has lost his personal existence. To refute such arguments, the Lord says, I am everywhere and everything is in me, but I am still aloof. Means his personal feature is still not there. For example, a king heads a government, which is but the manifestation of the king's energy. The different governmental departments are nothing but the energies of the king. And each department is resting on the king's power. But still, one cannot expect the king to be present in every department personally. That's a crude example. Similarly, all the manifestations that we see and everything that exists, both in this material world and in the spiritual world, are resting on the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The creation takes place by the diffusion of his different energies, and as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, he is everywhere present by his personal representation, the diffusion of his different energies. So he is everywhere. He is Not everywhere. He can be everywhere. Everything is possible. That's why he is the supreme absolute truth. Means all the contradictions are there in him simultaneously. It's very difficult to understand him. One may argue that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who creates the whole cosmic manifestation simply by his glance, cannot come within the womb of Devaki, the wife of Vasudeva. Now that's the word, cannot come. Why he cannot come? To eradicate this argument, Vasudeva said, my dear Lord, it's not very wonderful that you appeared within the womb of Devaki, for the creation was also made in that way. You were lying in the causal ocean as Mahavishnu, and by your breathing, innumerable universes came into existence. Then you entered into each of the universes as Garvadaksha Vishnu. So all the universes come from him, and then he enters each and every universe. Then again, you expanded yourself as Kshirodaksha Vishnu and entered into the heart of all living entities and entered even within the atoms. That's inconceivable. How is it possible? Therefore, your entrance into the womb of Devaki is understandable in the same way. You appear to have entered, but you're simultaneously all-pervading. We can understand your entrance and non-entrance from material examples. The total material energy remains intact even after being divided into 16 elements. Material body is nothing but a combination of the 5 gross elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, ether. Whenever there is a material body, it appears that such elements are newly created. But actually, the elements are always existing outside of the body. Similarly, although you appear as a child in the womb of Devaki, you are also existing outside. You're always in your abode, but still you can simultaneously expand yourself into millions of forms. So this body that we have is made of earth, water, fire, air, ether, the gross elements. But when the baby is developed in the womb of the mother, we think it's a new person. There's nothing new. The elements are already there in the material universe, and the soul is not new either. Soul just transmigrates from one body to another. We think, oh, it's a newborn baby, new body, and this and that. Yes, it is. It is all the elements come together, not come together, provided together by under the direction of the Karmana Deva Netrena, under the direction of higher authorities, and the body is formed, whether the body of a human being, man, woman, or an animal, different animals, or insects, or plants, or birds, whatever, or fish, but they're just put together. That's all. And when we die, all the elements, that's why when we cremate the body, all the Panch Tattva go back to Panch Tattva. So that is why it is said, one who has a knowledge of this, he is a dhira, he is sober, he doesn't get bewildered. It's just like it is explained if we build a building, we put together like bricks and cement and rebars and sand and granite and whatever, plastic, this, that, we bring them, make the skyscraper building or any building. And when the building is destroyed, everything is gone back. So same thing with the body. So coming back to the purport, one has to understand your appearance with great intelligence because the material energy is also emanating from you. You're the original source of the material energy, just as the sun is the source of the sunshine. The sunshine cannot cover the sun globe, nor can the material energy, being an emanation from you, cover you. You appear to be in the 3 modes of material energy, but actually the 3 modes of material energy cannot cover you. This is understood by the highly intellectual philosophers. In other words, although you appear to be within the material energy, you're never covered by it. Maya cannot cover the Supreme Lord. Maya doesn't cover. Because it is said in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself said, those who take shelter of my lotus feet, they get away from Maya. So how can he himself be under Maya? No way. We hear from the Vedic version that the Supreme Brahman exhibits his effulgence and therefore everything is illuminated. We can understand from the Brahma Samhita that the Brahm Jyoti or the Brahman effulgence emanates from the body of the Supreme Lord. And from the Brahman effulgence, all creation takes place. It's further stated in Bhagavad Gita that the Lord is the support of the Brahman effulgence. Originally, he is the root cause of everything. But persons who are less intelligent think that when the Supreme Personality of Godhead comes within this material world, he accepts material qualities. Such conclusions are not mature but are made by the less intelligent. So he doesn't take up a material body. He doesn't come under the influence of material nature. Nothing. He's always the Supreme Lord. And he has shown it here when he appeared in the prison house of Kamsa, but with full opulence he appeared. Yatmano drishya guneshu sanniti vyavyasya svavyatirekto buddha vinanuvadam na cha tanmanishitam samyak yatastam upapada dattapuman. One who considers his visible body, which is a product of the three modes of nature, to be independent of the soul, is unaware of the basis of existence, and therefore he is a rascal. Those who are learned have rejected this conclusion because one can understand through full discussion that with no basis in the soul, the visible body and the senses would be insubstantial. Nonetheless, although his conclusion has been rejected, a foolish person considers it a reality. So foolish person thinks, this is it. This is my body and that is it. No. Without the basic principle of the soul, the body cannot be produced. So-called scientists have tried in many ways to produce a living body in the chemical labs. But no one has been able to do it because unless the spirit soul is present, the body cannot be prepared from material elements. Since scientists are now enamored of theories about the chemical composition of the body, we have challenged many scientists to make even a small egg. The chemicals in eggs can be found very easily. There is a white substance and a yellow substance covered by a shell. And modern scientists should very easily be able to duplicate all this. But even if they were to prepare such an egg and put it in an incubator, this man-made chemical egg would not produce a chicken. The soul must be added because there is no question of a chemical combination for life. Those who think that life can exist without the soul have therefore been described here as a Buddha, or foolish rascals. So that brings a conclusion to the time-old question. What came first, soul or egg or a chicken, or egg or a hen? So definitely hen, because without hen, egg cannot come into being. Some say, okay, from egg the hen comes, but without the soul, nothing can happen. Again, there are those who reject the body, regarding it as insubstantial. They are of the same category of fools. One can neither reject the body nor accept it as substantial. The substance is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and both the body and the soul are energies of the Supreme Godhead, as described by the Lord Himself. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, all together, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. Besides these, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind, which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. The body therefore has a relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just as the soul does. Since both of them are energies of the Lord, neither of them is false, because they come from the reality. One who does not know this secret of life is described as Abuddha. According to the Vedic injunctions, everything is a supreme Brahman. Sarvam Khalam Idam Brahma. Therefore, both the body and the soul are Brahman, since matter and spirit emanate from Brahman. So both have to be used in the service of Brahman, or in the service of the Supreme Lord. Not knowing the conclusions of the Vedas, some people accept the material nature as substance and others accept the spirit soul as substance. But actually, Brahman is a substance. Brahman is a cause of all causes. Ingredients and the immediate cause of this manifested material world are Brahman, and we cannot make the ingredients of this world independent of Brahman, or Brahman or Brahm Jyoti. Furthermore, since the ingredients and the immediate cause of this material manifestation are Brahman, both of them are truth, Satya. There is no validity to the expression Brahm Satyam Jagan Mithya. The world is not false, it is temporary. Jnanis reject this world and foolish persons accept this world as reality. And in this way, they both are misguided. Although the body is not as important as the soul, we cannot say it is false. Yet the body is temporary, and only foolish, materialistic persons who do not have full knowledge of the soul regard the temporary body as reality and engage in decorating this body. Both of these pitfalls, rejection of the body as false and acceptance of the body as all in all, can be avoided when one is fully situated in Krishna consciousness. If we regard this world as false, we fall into the category of asuras, who say that this world is unreal, with no foundation and no God in control, as described in 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So again, lots of philosophy given by Prabhupada just so that we don't misunderstand the position of Krishna, our position, and the relationship with Krishna. Tatto asya janma sthiti sayamana vibho vadanti anihanta gunanti vikriya tvayishvare brahmani no viruddhyate tadashrayat padu pacharayate gunaha. O my Lord, learned Vedic scholars conclude that the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the entire cosmic manifestation are performed by you, who are free from endeavor, unaffected by the modes of material nature, and changeless in your spiritual situation. There are no contradictions in you, who are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Parabrahman. Because the three modes of material nature, Sattva, Raja, and Tama, are under your control, everything takes place automatically. So this is his position. He doesn't have to do anything. Everything is under his control. As stated in the Vedas, na tasya karyam karanam na vidyate, karanam cha vidyate. The Supreme Lord has nothing to do. No one is found to be equal to or greater than him. For everything is done naturally and systematically by his multifarious energies. Creation, maintenance, and annihilation are all conducted personally by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and this is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Yet ultimately, the Lord does not need to do anything, and therefore his nirvikar means changeless. Because everything is done under his direction, he is called Srishtikarta, the master of creation. Similarly, he is a master of annihilation. When a master sits in one place while his servants work in different duties, whatever the servants are doing is ultimately an activity of the master, although he is doing nothing. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. The Lord's potencies are so numerous that everything is nicely done. Therefore, he is naturally still and is not directly the doer of anything in this material world. So personally, he doesn't do anything. And everything is done under his superintendence, by his energies, and the energies are given orders, given strength by him, but he doesn't have to do anything. That's why he's a Supreme Lord. But people cannot understand his position. So anyway, I guess we can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments? See, in all the Bhagavatam Kathas, nobody describes these things, prayers by Vasudeva ji. They say, oh, Krishna was born and he told Vasudeva ji, take me to Gokul. Vasudeva ji put him in the basket. And all the shackles opened and they all went. But what about the prayers? Devaki will also pray to the Lord. These are important. Okay, so I guess we can stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri.
Hare Krishna.